Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalawat wassalam ala rasulillah wa alihi wa sahbihi wa min wala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters. I pray you and your families are well. Always an honor to be with you all. First and foremost, we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to gather and to learn from the sacred tradition of Futuwwah. This is, if I'm not mistaken, our 11th or 12th gatherings. Alhamdulillah, it's been such a blessing to be with you all and to learn with and through and from you all as well. And I hope you guys are benefiting as much as I am with regards to reading this beautiful book. We want to send our salams and greetings to Imam Dawud Walid for his excellent work in compiling this book, and also to all of our teachers and the ulama, and also to all of our scholars in our tradition. And last but not least, I also want to thank Sister Fatima and also Sister Dania, Brother Shaib, and Sister Madiha for helping out with the Academy, Futuwwah Academy of Sacred Manhood and Sacred Womanhood, and this halaqah in particular, such an excellent manner. So today we will read the chapter about modesty, inshallah. If you guys see my screen, then we will start, inshallah. So if you do not have shame, then do as you wish. Who would like to start reading? Please go ahead. Anybody who feels...
Shall I read?
Yes, of course. Who is it?
Fatma.
All right, Sister Fatima, go ahead.
One of the lost virtues of this era, which the Fatah must struggle to exemplify, is modesty. The linguistic definition of modesty is being bashful and having decent conduct in front of others. In its etymology, modesty is related to the word life, haya, hence the life of the Fatah must be established upon modesty. Modesty is from faith. Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali elaborated on the meaning of modesty for the Fatah when he stated, "It is the middle way in between brash shamelessness and soft effeminacy."
Jazakallah khairan, sister. Great reading. So here it's quite interesting, dear brothers and sisters, and I've been reflecting upon this when I read the chapter earlier, that the linguistic definition of haya is being bashful, right? But at the same time, the etymological background is that it comes from the word haya, which means life. So being alive means that you need to be modest, which is such a beautiful connection indeed. And then further in this sequence, it's further elaborated that the life of the Fatah must be established upon modesty. So let's reflect upon this a little bit, dear brothers and sisters. How shall we establish our lives connected to modesty? Because we see such a interconnection between modesty and life, right? Any thoughts about that? Yes, Sister Hadid, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
So I was thinking a little bit like the opposite way. Like I think the way we live nowadays, it's preventing us from being modest because there are a lot of distractions and attractions, and like we try to be modest, but then there are a lot of temptations, and then that would make it more difficult to control ourselves and to be able not to be driven away with these temptations.
Exactly. So Sister Hadid is referring to something crucial, which is that we are all a creation and perhaps a reaction of the modern societal norms, which is not modest at all. It's very hypersexualized. It's very much egocentric and nafsani, etc. So we need to create spaces that actually infuses haya and shyness and modesty into our hearts and into our actions as well. How would we help youths in this? Because the youths might face even more challenges than us, because the society just the last 5-6 years has become even more, hypersexual and also anthropocentric and nefsani. So how could we help the youths to go into the path of modesty? What do you guys think? one thing that I was thinking about with regards to this is that we need to be very compassionate towards the struggles of the youth, because in all honesty, the society is, I mean, compared to even when I was young, and I'm not that old, it's such a switch shift, you know, such a switch shift. The way that the society has become even more individualistic, and also that the content that arouses our nafs, or our, you know, our hawa, or our, you know, desires and shahawat, um, are so much more accessible now through social media, you know. So I think to be compassionate, to understand that it's a much more difficult situation and context that they're raised in, and then probably to bring awareness of the benefits of modesty and shyness, from not pointing fingers, rather to do it in a different pedagogical way. Yes, Sister Sophia is writing, explaining the benefits of living a modest life. Yes, that's a great, great reflection indeed. Brother Thomas is writing, by example. Yes, so that we actually practice what we preach, in a sense, as adults, that we live by example. And also, Sister Sophia is writing in the chat, to create a counterculture of modesty. So, Sister Sophia, would you like to elaborate? How would this counterculture look like? If you could unmute yourself. Are you able to unmute yourself, sister?
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Actually, I'm just thinking back, going back many, many years, probably 3 decades ago. There was a video series. Gosh, I can't remember the name. It was American one, where it was set 100 years ago, I think. Oh, it was called Waltons. Yes, I remember now, Waltons. And it was just a sort of serial, but how they lived and interacted with each other. There was a massive following of that. Now, okay, it was set in American sort of that model of American, I think. We need to create a counterculture of Islam in terms of video presentation series and so on. I think perhaps that is the way forward. I haven't thought it out all fully, but I just have this sort of gem of an idea that it needs to be the counterculture. What we can't, I mean, look, we know that young kids don't actually read that much. So for us to write books and so on, yes, we can do, and we will reach some of the audiences, but to create, to work in their space, and in their space at the moment is TikTok and some of the other social media. Now, as much as I don't like it, I've been told by younger people that I work with and I teach, that look, you know, you need to be in this space. And I mean, I'm very reluctant. Actually, yesterday I was in an expo. There was a Islamic expo. If you have a further few minutes, I can elaborate a little bit. And it was in Oldham, which is not very far from where I live, and was one of its kind in the whole of Europe. And there were quite a few mosques and so on. They came. One of the businesses that was showcasing, and I've taken their number, is they were creating videos, and they were also creating the video equipment, and they want to teach youth how to create videos. And I thought, this is brilliant. And I thought, I don't know how we're going to work together, but we have to work together. And he was saying yes as well. So inshallah, the point is, and the bottom line, the point is, we need to create some attractive video series that aligns with Islamic values, a bit like Utrul, you know, that captivated a lot of people. And we need to work in that medium. Knowledge dissemination can happen in various mediums, and we have to accept that, and we need to move on with the times. I don't want to take too much of the time.
No, it was amazing. Thank you for sharing this. And it's a little bit what Dr. Recep Shanturk speaks about in his way of advising us how to disseminate Futuwwah into the younger generation that we need to use narratives. And I believe, as you say, that this generation is very visual. It's a very
Yes.
visual generation because, I mean, if you go back just a couple of generations back, like I remember when I was a small child, my father used to read different stories and qissa, right? And
Yeah.
storytelling was, in a sense, what feed it into your visual because you used your imagination to imagine these scenarios and these people, which I think is much more healthier, to be quite honest. At the same time, we cannot just disconnect ourselves from the modern reality. The modern reality is that we have artificial intelligence there. We have a visual culture, and either we disconnect, which I don't mind, because a lot of people do that. And if they can create like an alternative society, by all means, or we engage, but we don't engage by their terms, rather we engage by our terms. So we enter the TikTok sharing beneficial resources. So as you say, the whole series of Ertugrul has been shaping the youths and the heroic attributes of being a fatah, because
Exactly.
Ertugrul is the embodiment of Futuwwah in a sense, right?
Exactly.
So I definitely believe in this. I think that we as the Futuwwah Academy of Sacred Manhood and Sacred Womanhood should work on this. And I really believe that we need to use infographics, storytelling, visual storytelling, maybe doing theaters, maybe doing movies. And it doesn't even need to be like, I remember a couple of years ago, they also did the series of Sayyidina Omar. Now, there is a ikhtilaf here, obviously. I know that. I'm not going to go into the fiqh of it. I know that majority opinion is that you cannot portray the Sahaba and the companions of the Prophet ﷺ either.
Yeah.
So let's put that aside for now because I'm not a faqih, so I'll let the
No.
fuqaha deal with that. But I
Yeah.
know that the series really opened up a lot of the youth to the, to this history of Islam, to the history of the early Muslims, and they almost saw the Sahaba as superheroes. So instead
Yeah.
of, looking up to Batman or, Superman or Spider-Man,
Exactly.
they were starting to speak about Sayyidina Omar or Sayyidina Uthman or Sayyidina Ali or Sayyidina
Yeah.
Abu Bakr and many others, like Khalid ibn Walid, radiallahu anhu, etc. So I definitely think that we should reflect upon this and utilize it from a narrative point of view to bring the youths through the new role models for them into the path of the Torah. And a final thing I want to add is also video games, because I was actually part of a project it's almost a decade ago, more than a decade ago, which was called Arabic Game Jam, actually. It was so one of the biggest video game producers in the world have their offices here in Sweden, where I live in Malmo. It's called Massive Entertainment, and together with the University of Malmo, they did this project where they wanted to bring in alternative narratives that are not from the Western hemisphere, like not that are not Eurocentric in a sense. So they invited a lot of people from other countries, Arab-speaking countries in particular, to bring about other narratives and stories, right? And I really thought this was a good project. And I think we could do like an Islamic, game jam, which type of, video games can we create where the heroes are like Salahuddin Ayyubi or, Ibn Battuta or whoever, right? And there is also, subhanAllah, there in Sharjah in the UAE, the Emir of Sharjah, the Qasemi family, they're very engaged in arts and in culture, mashallah. They're doing amazing job. So I think one of the Amiras there, I forgot her name. I had the honor to meet this company. They're called Kelamat. It's a book publishing house. They're doing like children's book of, different Muslim scholars. Like they have done a children's book of Ibn Khaldun, one about Ibn Sina, one about Ibn Rushd, etc. So that's also a very good way. So I would really love to invite you all, dear, brothers and sisters, for us through the Futuwwah Academy to really build a task force where we can see which type of medium can we utilize to disseminate narratives that could lead these youths to, as Sister Sophia mentioned in such an excellent way, a counterculture grounded in Quran, Sunnah, and Futuwwah. Thank you so much, Sister. We will invite you guys, inshallah, through the WhatsApp group. Yes, Sister Mahlaqa, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Actually, brother, I wanted to say everything that you explained very well. Actually, you explained it very well. All of these concepts I was I wanted to say that our youth should more and more come into media and should like learn about filmmaking, videography, and all of that. And as you mentioned, that this is can be the medium, because this generation is, as you already mentioned, everything that they are very visual, and this is can be a very strong impact on them. But also I was thinking that, as you mentioned about the video games, actually I didn't know, I'm not very much into all of this stuff, but I just, whenever I sit with children or do some classes with them, like I do some community work, so I do mention it to them that when you guys play video games, have you seen how you escape from dangers and how you try to take challenges and navigate through it? So this is how life is all about. And actually one concept came to me in my mind, like any Muslims can make these kind of video games, like the shaitan, they show the shaitan in different forms, that shaitan is coming, and then children are trying to protect themselves, and with zikr or other like Quran or things like using in the video games, using those concepts and protecting themselves, and how they are escaping the challenges, and they have to reach their goal, and the goal is Jannah. And there is, like in video game, they can see the Jannah, like a very beautiful place, and they have to reach there. But in the path, many things are coming from here and there, and they are trying to stop them not to get there. So this kind of concepts, like Muslim people can bring and make these kind of games. So when you said that, I was so happy that you are already thinking of, and you already mentioned everything. And one thing more I would like to add, that I have seen some Muslim women, Muslim ladies, they are doing some modeling, like they are into modeling. And although this is not like something, but because the new generation, new era, our youths, they are too much into it. So I have seen they are like dressing up very modestly and with scarves and like hijab, and they are doing the modeling. So it's kind of promoting, the modest dressing. So somehow I thought that it can be used as a tool also to promote, modesty and nice way of dressing into youth. So I feel like that's also something, like I don't mind it actually, because I think in this period of time we have to see how we need to use our different tools. So some people are they are like very black and white. No modeling, this is haram. I don't agree with that. I feel like we need to take these kind of steps. I don't know, but Allah knows better. Thank you.
Jazakallah khairan, sisters, for your great remarks. We appreciate it. Yes, I agree with many things you said. With the modeling, Allahu Alam, I let the fuqaha discuss that. But with regards to most of the things you said, I totally agree that we need to understand our contemporary era and deal with it in a way where we utilize the tools for the benefit of the dawah, Like, I'm a big propagator of artificial intelligence today. I really think that we should enter the space and own it. And actually, within the ISIP, the International Students of Islamic Psychology, we're establishing a task force which is called Hikmah AI. So Hikmah AI, together with Brother Usama and some other brothers and sisters. He's not here today. He joins the Futuwwah reading, where we try to see what we can do with artificial intelligence as a tool for dawah, for instance. I definitely agree on what you're saying, Sister Mahlaba. Thank you so much. Brother Thomas, go ahead.
Yes. I wanted to ask, and I might be quite ignorant, but what I miss sometimes is, of course, I really love the role models from the past, but as I say, we should be an example. And of course, but I'm only me, I'm only this guy in Belgium. But what I mean is, what are contemporary examples of Futuwwah or of we need those people, and we might need to be talking about those people and really see them as a role model. If we want heroes, then we should have contemporary heroes as well. And I was wondering if you could maybe name a few, or we could make a gathering where we share our heroes and let them be Muslim heroes, of course. But this was a question, and then I do not only mean, really scholars, but also just normal people who achieved a lot maybe in sports, or maybe in business, or maybe in life in general. But if we have those people and we refer to them, it's going to be a big help to all of us and to the youth as well.
MashaAllah, Brother Thomas. Amazing remarks. Thank you so much, brother. I'm so delighted to be with you. Yes, brother, you're so right. Of course, we love our tradition, and we know that the best generation was the generation of the companions. Nevertheless, we need to find contemporary role models. And as you say, it doesn't need to be only scholars. It could be pious people. It could be a bus driver. It could be a janitor. It could be entrepreneur. It could be whoever, right? A taxi driver. There are heroes everywhere, you know. And as they say, the awliya are hidden. We don't know who they are. So maybe this taxi driver is an awliya, you know. Who knows? So alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. This is a really important, and it made me think about many different heroes, as you say, for from your own family members, your parents, your father, your mother, to your brother, your sister, your uncle, your auntie. But it could also be like others. Like I think, could you please mute yourself, please? Will you join? So essentially, with regards to the Palestinian people are the heroes of our time now. By sure, I think we all agree the Palestinian people are the heroes of our time. They are chosen by Allah to safeguard the sacred places of not only Islam but also for the Christians and the Jews as well, against the Zionists, terrorists, and tyrants. So the Palestinians are the heroes, and we should tell their stories to the whole world. And the whole world are already, being aware. So many more people that didn't know about the situation, about the colonization, about the al-Nakba and all things that has happened towards the Palestinian brothers and sisters are now aware, because what's happening through social media is that their stories are being disseminated, So definitely the Palestinians are the heroes, They are the ones who are walking in the path of Futuwwah, even though they're, subjugated to oppression, to a genocide, to ethnic cleansing, to settler colonization, they still have such a modest way of approaching things. Yes, they're fighting a just fight against oppression, and they're doing it in a just way. And at the same time, they're not cursing, their enemies. It's so interesting when you see, and that's why Allah chose the Palestinians to safeguard Al-Aqsa. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose the Palestinians to safeguard the holy places. So many of the Anbiya who comes from this sacred land of Palestine and Palestine, and the Palestinians were chosen to protect this, not for the Palestinians only, for the whole all mankind. So the Palestinians are our heroes, and even though they're under oppression and genocide, and the whole world or the leaders of the world are not doing anything, they're not cursing people, they're still standing there with tawakkul and taqwa and fighting for their survival and for the right to their land. This is their land, this is their ancestry land. So we have a lot to learn from them. That's just one example. And I like your idea, Brother Thomas. Let's do that. Let's use the WhatsApp group. So what we will do, we will let the WhatsApp group be open for 2 days. All right. So let's answer the questions that I will share after the session today, and let's discuss. So Brother Thomas, you start by writing some of your heroes, for instance. It could be a local person, in Belgium where you live, or, maybe Brother Mansour can write something from Gambia, or maybe Sister Sophia from the UK, or maybe all of us, Sister Mahlaqa, Sister Anum, etc. So let's bring, and it could be role models that we can write stories about, and maybe we can disseminate this in the Futuwwah Academy through our social media, because we're going to enter TikTok and Instagram. Maybe we can do reels, maybe we can do infographics, maybe we can do storytelling, we can add it to our website. So these are amazing ideas. I really appreciate it. Sister Hadid is writing, what's the name of the books of the Muslim scholars for children? So Sister Hadid, it's a series of books. I can actually show you. I have some of them here. Let me just see, just 1 second. I'm not finding them right now, sister. Inshallah, next time I will show them to you. Nevertheless, there is a series of books. So they've written a children's book about Ibn Khaldun, about Ibn Sina, Ibn Rushd. And then I'm sure you know Fons Vita. They have written about Imam Ghazali. I also seen the daughter of Malcolm X, actually. She's written a children's book about Malcolm X. So I love this. I really love this. So I bought a lot of them. I used to read them with my daughter when she was younger. I don't have them here right now. Actually, alert, I'm writing a children's book myself right now. So inshallah, I will share that when it's done. nevertheless, I love these things. So if you guys have any of these ideas, we can do it in the Futuwwah Academy, inshallah. All right, brothers and sisters, thank you so much for excellent remarks. Let's continue the reading, inshallah. Yes, Sister Sophia, Malcolm X is, yes, he is one of the great heroes of our contemporary era, for sure. Rahimullah. Sister Anum is writing, there are many contemporary heroes, but the hard truth is, since some of us are in period and situations similar to the Meccan period, some heroes can only be discussed within the confines of that al-Arqam, meaning privately. Yes. People who are carrying the weight of the Ummah and driving it to its next chapter. Totally true, Sister Anum. Thank you for sharing that. Sister Kafila can you share the Malcolm X book with us? Yes, sister. I will share the link in the WhatsApp group. Inshallah. It's a children's book. You can order it. I have it here. Oh, just one second. I found it. I don't know if you guys see because I have a background. I have the Futuwwah background. Let me just see if I can. So this is the Imam Ghazali book. You see?
Okay, yeah.
It's written by Fons Vita.
Oh, yeah, I know that, yeah.
This is the Ibn Battuta by Kalamat. This is translated to Swedish, by the way. So but Kalamat was the ones who published it. This is the Malcolm X book, Malcolm Little. Do you guys see it? Malcolm Little. This is written by the daughter of Malcolm X, rahimahullah. It's a beautiful book, very beautiful illustration. I love the pictures and the illustrations. And because we live in a visual era, this is the book of Ibn Rushd. You see, sister and brothers? Ibn Rushd. This is Kalamat.
I found the series, yeah. Okay, thank you.
And then you have here, this is Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun. And then you have some others here as well. Alhamdulillah. I haven't even seen, I don't know, I think I borrowed it to someone. All right, brothers and sisters, let's continue. So let's read from, actually, there is another thing I wanted us to discuss actually here. By the way, we only have 3 pages to read, so we have good enough time. So here Imam Ghazali elaborates on the meaning of modesty for the Fatah when he stated it is the middle way between brash shamelessness and soft effeminacy. Effeminacy refers to the quality in a man of having characteristics and ways of behaving traditionally associated with women and are regarded as inappropriate for a man. So I was thinking here from the aspect of tahdib al-akhlaq, all right, refinement of character. How could we teach the youth this middle ground, referred to by Imam Ghazali, rahimullah, as the key to adorn your character with modesty? So it's the middle ground, the middle way between, shamelessness and effeminacy, right? How can we teach the youth this middle ground? Any suggestions? So it's the middle ground. The whole akhlaq tradition, the Islamic ethical tradition, was about balance, right? So refined character was to not be extreme, to always be in the middle. And the extremes on one spectrum is always something that takes you away from the suluk. So for instance, yes, Sister Kafila, go ahead.
Now, Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. If we want to teach our children about modesty, it should start from home first, because at home we are obligated to let our children know the role modesty plays as Muslim in a Muslim's life.
Please, brothers and sisters, mute yourself when you join. Go ahead, Sister Kapila. Sorry.
And if we look at it in every aspect, modesty is not only about wearing dress that is covering your aura and everything. It extends to how you relate with people around you, that you would not want to hurt people's feelings, not in that hurt people's feeling without considering your own point or your own stance, but in actual fact, not being rash with people in terms of just talking to them anyhow, not being like some sessions we have had, that when you want to portray the truth, you must portray with wisdom. The approach that you give in portraying the truth also tells much about the person that you want to give that truth to, as well as the person that is giving the truth. So modesty does not really have to do with wearing clothing that is covering aura alone. Even the way you address people, you talk to them, even when it talks about business, you know, being a modest person does not allow you to be greedy, because you will feel shame when you want to do something like exploiting people. That is part of modesty. So it starts from home. Then within the community of Muslims, we also take care of that, which I think the Futuwwah Academy is trying to bring up now and at the global stage. And like we have already said in the terms of using the visuals, because that is what the world is becoming. People are no more the reading type. We can use visuals in displaying the goods, the benefits, both the worldly goods or the worldly benefits, as well as the hereafter that will be, accruing to the person that exhibits this modesty trait.
MashaAllah, Sister Kafila, thank you so much for your excellent feedback, inputs, and remarks. I really appreciate it. Yes, indeed. Modesty is something holistic, isn't it, sister? It is about clothing for sure, but it's also about your character. It's about your attributes. It's about your attitude. It's about your way, presence, you know? So definitely. And I love so Imam Ghazali's whole approach towards character reformation is to find the middle way. So it's interesting because one extreme, so modesty is the balance, it's the middle way. One extreme on the spectra is shamelessness, and one is effeminacy, right? So shamelessness is not good because you need to have shame. Effeminacy is that your man should be a man and a woman should be a woman, right? So the middle ground is modesty. And modesty doesn't mean naivety, you know? Modesty means something firm where you're modest towards your Lord first and foremost. So I think we can use the akhlaq tradition in the Futuwwah approach and into the Futuwwah Academy as a way to bring people to the middle way. And that all the virtues that the Fatah should adorn itself, him or herself to, should be done according to moderation. Yes, Sister Hadid, go ahead.
On the akhlaq thing, I remembered I took with Dr. Human. He gave us like a tree that has all of the akhlaq and the middle and the two extremes of that. I think it's in Arabic. I don't know if there is any translation in English. I'll check it out. But it maps out all of the ethics that we need to embody as Muslims.
Yeah, Dr. Human Kishavarzi, he is amazing. He has done the whole TIIP model that he has developed together with Dr. Fad Khan, Dr. Khalid Zemzemi, and other great scholars, and these are all friends of ours and teachers of ours. They have done a particular intervention using the takhalli and tajalli approach, adorning yourself with virtues and removing vices by utilizing the middle ground. And they have utilized the works of Imam Maududi, who has, by the way, been translated by Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, which is the Purification of the Heart book. I think it's called the Purification of the Soul. I have it here. I'm sitting in my library, by the way, dear brothers and sisters. So I have all my books here. So I think it's the Purification of the Soul. No, the Purification of the Heart. It's a translation of Imam Maududi's book by Sheikh Hamza Yusuf. Amazing, sister. If you find those things you studied with Dr. Human, please do share, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. All right, let's continue the reading. Sister Mahlaqa, would you like to read?
No, actually, I just wanted to add few points what you guys were talking about.
No problem.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sister.
Yeah, it's only something came to my mind that if we want to teach anything to our children, or the basic steps, I think we have to become the role models, like by modeling ourselves, if we are trying to teach them modesty or anything. But we cannot teach them anything if we are not, as parents, if we are not creating that safe space for them, like first of all, the safe, secure attachment with us. So that starts with our behavior with each other, like how kind the both parents are to each other and respectful. I think respect should be number one. It should be even before love and anything else, respect. Because this is the area where sometimes we lose the ground, and then when the children, they don't get become securely attached to us, so we are not their role models. So they try to find out some other role models. They can be any other characters, maybe non-Muslims who are very kind or very respectful. So there are many small things that we need to focus and consider, and start working on that from the very beginning, in being a role model person ourselves first, whatever we are trying to teach our children.
MashaAllah, sister. Thank you so much for sharing these excellent remarks. Yes, we start by ourselves. The journey towards Allah starts with yourself. And this is also the connection between insan and insan al-kabir. Insan being you and me, and al-kabir, insan al-kabir being the universe. And it's the connection between micro and macro. Microcosmo is you, macrocosmo is the universe. So we need to practice what we preach in order to reflect what we want others to reflect. So that's very important. And it's as the Prophet ﷺ said, the light of faith is connected to modesty, right? So the modesty is from our faith, the Prophet ﷺ said. Yes, Sister Shifa, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
I
salam.
actually wanted to add on to this concept of haya being holistic, right? I'm forgetting the scholar's name. I'm really sorry about that. But he basically defined al-haya as an inner sense of retraction towards something and therefore abstaining from it, right? I mean, basically from the fear of the blame, right? So it's very holistic in the approach of this particular definition. Along with that, I wanted to add something that Aisha radiallahu anha said, that she said that how wonderful and fine were the women of Ansar, because their sense of haya didn't prevent them from learning.
Subhanallah.
Yeah, so some youth, like for example, in my university as well, many Muslim women, like when I talk to them, they tell me that, haya, how are you coming to learn? Like Muslims itself, they comment such things. So I remember like making them know of this particular comment by Aisha radiallahu anha, which reiterated that haya does not mean that you're not going to go and learn. Haya does not mean it's just restricted to clothing alone, right? So yeah.
MashaAllah, Sister Shifa, thank you so much for sharing these excellent quotes from Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu anha. And also, please, if you can check which scholar you were referring to and add it to the WhatsApp group, I would really appreciate it, inshallah. So, brothers and sisters, I really want our WhatsApp group to be active when we open it up. So please take some moment and just share all your amazing insights that you guys are sharing during our reading sessions and halaqah in the WhatsApp group as we continue the discussions there. So Sister Shifa, I would love if you can share your remarks there as well, so that more of those who couldn't join today can benefit, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan, sister. Yes, Sister Hadid, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to reflect on the last point about haya, and haya is not being shy, because shy is something that I think it's problematic, and it's kind of a disorder in the personality of a person, like being too much not able to engage in the society because like being an and I think it has a negative connotation, being shy, but rather haya, it's more holistic. It's more like to be firm, as you said, and to be aware how we interact with oneself, with God, and with others. So it's more inclusive.
MashaAllah. Yeah. Great remarks, sister. Well, MashaAllah. I learned so much by all of you, honestly. I love these conversations. Thank you so much, Sister Hadid. Khair, let's continue the reading. Who would like to read? By the way, Sister Samia is writing in the chat, وَلَبَاسُ تَقْوَى هُوَ خَيْرٌ. Allah Ta'ala talks in the Quran about modesty to cover our aura. Yes, indeed. Indeed, Sister Samia. Amazing. Thank you. All right, Brother Thomas, you want to read?
Yes, it's fine. If you tell me from where.
Yes, of course. Let's see here, brother. So we're going to read from thus the Fatah in his mindfulness. Thus the Fatah in his mindfulness. Here.
Okay. Thus the Fatah in his mindfulness must avoid his heart being carefree, for a lack of care translates into shamelessness. On this, Imam Jafar al-Sadiq. And then what do I say after the name of...
Radiallahu anhu. Radiallahu anhu. You can say both.
Okay. Radiallahu anhu said that lacking shame is at the heart of hypocrisy and dissension. At the same time, he must not be bashful to the degree that he cannot speak up or even utter non-confrontational statements, nor can his shyness lead him leads to him being scared to be in the public space around others, as is characteristic of many contemporary mama boys, who well nigh act as if they are afraid of their own shadows. A complete lack of modesty is a greater ailment. However, as Imam al-Sadiq stated, whoever modesty has been withheld from will indulge in every form of mischief. This is because the one whom the Fatah must be shy before is Allah. Glorified is He. Sheikh Abu Talib al-Makki mentioned this as the first and most important level of bashfulness when he said, modesty before the Creator is faith, which means a lack of shame before Allah, glorified is He, entails a deficiency in faith. Having no shame in the heart before Allah, glorified is He, is an inward trait that is outwardly displayed by vulgar miscreants and hooligans. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, rahimahullah, said, shame before Allah, glorified is He, guards from the punishments of the fire, and modesty before Allah obliterates many potential mistakes.
Jazakallah khairan. My beloved brother Thomas, thank you for reading such a beautiful way. So many gems here, brothers and sisters, subhanAllah. So according to Imam Dawud Walid, for instance, the way of reaching the middle ground is that the Fatah in his mindfulness must avoid his heart being carefree. For lack of care translates into shamelessness. And then Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, rahimullah, said that lacking shame is at the heart of hypocrisy and dissension, right? And then at the same time, he must not be bashful, right? He must not be bashful to the degree that he cannot peak up or even utter non-confrontational statements. So he should stand up. As Sister Hadith said, you need to be firm, right? Nor can his shyness lead to him being scared to be in public spaces around others, as this is the characteristics of what Imam Dawud says, mama boys. I understand that, by the way. I love my mother, by the way. I'm not a mama's boy, but I love my mother. But I understand exactly what Imam says. It's about when you cannot be without your mom. You know, you cannot take your own decisions as a man. So he is very correct in this. And that they're afraid of their own shadows. So what do we reflect? Let's reflect upon this. So carefree. What do we say here? Yes, sister. Go ahead, Sister Hadid. Yes, Sister Hadid.
Was muted. Yeah, but because I think it's becoming a syndrome and a disease in our community that is spreading around. So we need to find a way to stop it because it's destructive. Of course, everybody respects their mother, and they are the essence of our existence. Like either girl, women, they respect their mother, but not to the point that the mothers will take decisions in front instead of their boys when it comes to family responsibilities and being having a family, and you need to take care of it. Of course, your mom is not gonna like take care of your family.
Yeah, you're right. I do see it as a counselor. I do a lot of marriage counseling. I also do a lot of one-on-one counseling. I definitely see that there is sometimes this battle between the mothers and the wives, and it's quite interesting. And obviously, as Muslims, we love our mothers and we adore them, obviously. But as you say, it's about balance. I think the notion of mama's boy is probably a person who cannot stand up, who always needs to, go back to mom. Nothing wrong to go back to mom to take care of her, because as an adult, you should take care of your mother. Your mother shouldn't take care of you.
Yeah,
That's
of
the
course,
thing.
and also like take their opinion in some decisions because they have experience in, but not to a to an extent that they are controlling the whole relationship.
Exactly, sister. And it's not about a relationship only. That's one example. But yeah, you're right. It's a balance. We have responsibility towards our parents, obviously. We know that there's many statements of the feet, the path to Jannah goes through the mother's feet, for instance. Nevertheless, it's about that balance again. Futuwwah is balance. Yes, Sister Asfia, go ahead.
Yes, well, so I just wanted to add on a few things about balancing. Islam always teaches us to have this balancing concept between, lack of modesty or being too much, too excessive, the gentleness or softness. There should be a balance because it's really crucial for maintaining a healthy and righteous personality. So Islam also teaches modesty and humility. Sometimes this shamefulness can lead to immoral behavior, disrespect towards others, and also disregard for Allah's boundaries. So there should always be a balance. Well, Islam also values kindness, compassion, and I think excessive softness can lead to certain amount of weakness and lack of assertiveness, and this leads to failure in standing up for what we are for something which is right or wrong, that is morality. So there should be a healthy balance between between the concept of shamefulness or being too excessive soft. There should always be this self reflection and introspection. I think that's really really important for anyone for that matter, to always have this self reflection, introspection in every walk of life, whatever we do. And we also need to surround ourselves with positive people and supportive people, which can make us develop some emotional intelligence and empathy. And communication is really important. And I think that's what I had to add.
MashaAllah, Sister Asfiya. Thank you so much for excellent remarks. And also thank you, Sister Hadil, for your excellent remarks. As you guys say, moderation. Softness is beautiful, but softness is not weakness. Let me use the metaphor of a mango. I know mangoes are very common in India, Sister Asfiya, isn't it? I was thinking
Yes,
about the
brother.
mango as a fruit. I love mango. I cannot eat it now because I have some issues with my stomach, but khair, I love it. Essentially, the mango is very soft, right? But if you take a strong bite, you come to the core, which is the seed, which is hard. So softness is not weakness because your core needs to be firm. And the seed of the mango is firm. It's one strong seed, and if you bite too hard, you will crack your teeth. So yeah, you can enjoy being with a person who's soft because that person, he could be very much compassionate, could be very, empathetic, could be very sympathetic, very heart-oriented. But then, of course, if you take advantage on that, then the seed comes, and that's why it's this balance, as you say. And I always remind myself that softness is not weakness. Softness is strength, and if it's applied in a balanced and moderate way. Yes, Sister Shifa, go ahead.
Yeah, along the lines, I wanted to make a comment. Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was described
Sallallahu Alaihi
as
Wasallam.
being more, having more haya than a virgin woman, right? Along with that, we know that he Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was equally brave and courageous. Like we have many other hadith that back up that he Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would be in the forefront of battles and wars and all of that. So there need not be a distinction between having haya versus, not having bravery or something like that. You can have haya within you as well as be brave enough and be courageous and be confident. So I think these kind of dichotomy concepts that are coming, especially emerging in the youth, needs to be stopped, or needs to be shown the right direction, which is very, very important.
MashaAllah, sister. I agree. Great remark, Sister Shifa. Barakallahu fiki. I agree with you. Dichotomy is not the Islamic way. It's not the way of the Futuwwah. Yes, there is dichotomy in certain things, like against like certain actions that are not according to Qur'an and Sunnah. There is black and white things, for sure. There are. And the black and white we know. And if we don't know, we need to know, right? But a lot of things is also like non-dichotomatic in a sense. To be soft doesn't mean that you cannot be firm. It could be integrated. That's why a word that you guys are using today, which I like, is holistic, right? Integrative and holistic. And that we need to have a holistic approach when we go to the path of Futuwwah, and we try to adorn ourselves with the traits that a Fatah needs to adorn himself with. And obviously, we work with sacred womanhood, the sacred woman as well. Yes, Jazakallah khairan. All right. There is also a little bit here, things that I think is very interesting to reflect upon. So the Fatah must not be bashful to the degree that he cannot speak up, right? But then Imam Jafar, rahimullah, he speaks about modesty and lack of it as a greater ailment, right? So he states, whoever is modest has been withheld from will indulge. Okay, whoever modest has been withheld from will indulge in every form of mischief. This is because, he says, the one whom the fatah must be shy before is Allah. So I want you guys to elaborate a little bit here, dear excellent brothers and sisters, about this form of modesty, right, in front of Allah. How does it look like? How is it embodied? And if you can give some examples that we could utilize here from the stories of the Anbiya and the Awliya. So how does it look like? How is it embodied? Any reflections, brothers and sisters? So this shyness or modesty in front of Allah, how does it look like? Yes, Sister Shifa, go ahead.
I think 2 points, if I may mention. One,
Yes, of course.
with regards to disobedience, like you need to have haya because Allah is watching over you. There is muraqabah, right? Allah is watching over you, and how can you like commit sins or engage into disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So that is haya towards Allah. And second thing, I think also appreciating the favors of Allah towards us. That is also, I think, related to haya, if I may connect.
MashaAllah, sister. Appreciate it. Yes, indeed. Appreciation. We are seen, to have that in your muraqabah, that you're, as the definition of ihsan, worship Allah as He sees you, even though you don't see Him. That's part of that. Yes, indeed. Great. Any other reflections, brothers and sisters? I'm sorry, I have a fly in front of my computer that I'm trying to take it away. That's why I'm doing like this. Khair. That was a great remark. I also like this part where, yes, Sister Asfia, go ahead. Sister Asfia, you raise your hand. You can unmute yourself.
Yes, brother. So, as sister said, modesty in front of Allah, that is also called as haya billah. It's a fundamental concept in Islam, and it cultivates a sense of humility and an awe for the Almighty. So yeah, I think reflecting on Allah's power, His wisdom and majesty, all this will create a deep sense of humility and acknowledging our own limits, like we are nothing. So I just want to mention this. Then the beginning of Surah Al-Baqarah, we have this word, alif lam mim, the word itself, because the knowledge of the meaning of this word is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and nobody knows. And we have the we get this thing from that. We get to know that in the beginning itself, in the beginning of the Quran itself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you know nothing, because whatever your qualification is, whatever you are, whatever the high degree or knowledge you gain, but certainly you know nothing in front of Allah Ta'ala. So this shows that the power, the ultimate power is in the hands of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and that's being modest towards Him. Like the way you stand in your namaz, that is salah, and the way you present yourself, though He's watching everywhere and everything. So it being mindful that you know nothing, where in the beginning itself, in the Quran, Allah has put those words, and which makes us to reflect that we are absolutely nothing. Like we cannot interpret a meaning of a single word. So that shows how how a person should be humble and be modest in that matter.
MashaAllah, sister. Haya billah. That's beautiful. And as you say, to know that to be mindful that we don't know anything, and Allah knows everything. And that's why we always end our sentences by saying Allahu Alam. So that's amazing. And it's a great reminder, sister. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. So let's continue to reading. There's so much I love. By the way, for all of you who haven't heard about Abu Talib al-Makki, he's one of the he's one of the first tasawwuf scholars in our tradition. I would really recommend you guys to read him. There's a lot of good translations to English. Actually, I forgot. One of my great colleagues in ISIP, Professor Ibrahim, he just wrote, no, sorry, that was with Al-Muhasibi. It was not Abu Talib al-Makki. But Abu Talib al-Makki, he is one of the first, great scholars of, tasawwuf. So check him out. A lot of great gems to utilize, even in Futuwwah. And I love when he says, modesty before the Creator is faith, right? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So let's continue to reading, brothers and sisters. We are now in the part that starts with the fatah must also have bashfulness. Who would like to read?
Can I go ahead?
Yes, Sister Mahmouda, go ahead.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The fatah must also have bashfulness in front of people after prioritizing shame before his creator. The companion Abu Sa'id described the Prophet ﷺ as more modest in front of people than a virgin girl with a veiled face. Accordingly, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you do not have shame, then do as you wish. The person who has no shame will behave widely in public, saying foul words without regards for others, dressing in ways that are inappropriate for the occasion. Imam Ali said, whoever makes modesty his clothing, people will not see his faults. Radiallahu anhu. Expounding on this, he also stated, modesty is handsome character and shame is the key of goodness. Thus, when it comes to modest dress, the fatah at the bare minimum should cover his body with loose-fitting clothings from the top of his navel to the point below his knees, as this meets the obligatory requirement according to Islamic jurisprudence. However, his dress should also be appropriate for each time and occasion in which he is present. For instance, he should not go in front of young ladies in public wearing tank tops or t-shirt, even if the minimum faqih requirements are being met, as he should guard his own ego, being scrupulous so to avoid attracting undue attention to himself or arousing desire in them. This example combines the matters addressed in two statements by Imam Ali radiallahu anhu when he said, the modesty of a man from his own ego is a fruit of faith, and shame is the consort of chastity.
Jazakallah khairan, Sister Mahmouda, for reading in such an excellent way. This is a very important part, and I think we should take I think we have half an hour left to discuss about clothing with regards to modest dress, because Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu says, whoever makes modesty his clothing, people will not see his fault. So Imam Dawud further reflects upon this quote of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, that the fatah at the bare minimum should cover his body with loose-fitting clothing from the top of his navel to the point below his knees. And this is, of course, according to fiqh. And then when he is in different location, he should definitely be aware of that context as well. For instance, if you walk in front of women, you should really be mindful of what you wear so that you don't create any arousal. And further, Sayyidina Ali says, the modesty of man from his own ego is the fruit of faith, right? And shame is the consort of chastity. So here I would like us to reflect a little bit, because clothing is very important in Futuwwah, not only because of modesty, but also because of creating a sense of cohesion in the group. So within the Futuwwah Academy, we will take clothing very seriously. For instance, having the same clothes, having the same logotype. You see the beautiful logotype that I have on my background. That is the logotype of Futuwwah Academy for Manhood. We have a different logotype for Womenhood, which I shared before. So how can we unite through sharing certain, attire that connect us? So every time you go somewhere, you say, oh, that he or she is part of Futuwwah, path of Futuwwah Academy, right? It's a connection and this bond. That's why, for instance, it's a sunnah to have a beard so that we can see, oh, subhanAllah, he's a Muslim, or, for women, hijab, for instance, etc. So from that, it creates cohesion. But obviously, in this chapter, we're speaking about clothing from the aspect of modesty and chastity. So I would like you guys to elaborate, dear brothers and sisters, on a so-called Futuwwah dress code for both men and women, using, of course, the fiqh. We cannot go against, Islamic jurisprudence, and also the quote from Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu. And I would like you guys to elaborate about modesty, but also to create a joint identity as common clothing can shape, right? When it comes to social cohesion. So let's reflect together. How could this Futuwwah dress code look like for men and for women? Perhaps the brothers can speak about the men and women for the women, for instance. Any reflections? And some of you are parents, so how would you dress your children, or, guide them in their dress code? Any reflections, dear brothers and sisters? I can start from the aspect of sacred manhood. So I think your, kufi could be a key for us as men, Cover our head is also to show respect towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously. I have different types of head attire in my office. You have the Ertugrul style, which Sister Sophia was referring to earlier, You have different types of kufis, The beard, obviously, and of course, according to fiqh, there are different fiqh of how you can, have your Hanafis or Shafis might disagree in certain element, but it's still the same that beard is something that defines us as Muslims and men. That could be something, grow out your beard, but of course you should, fix it in a proper way. The clothing. And the traditional Futuwwah guilds, they had specific clothing. You could always see that these people are part of the Futuwwah guild. They're part of that Futuwwah, center. Whether it's, the clothing, the attire, and their clothing were always loose-fitting, covering all aspects of your aura. So, yeah, I think it would be good to reflect upon this. Any thoughts, brothers and sisters? Or else we can continue in the WhatsApp group, inshallah. Yes, Sister Shifa, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I particularly wanted to make a comment on how this Islamophobic industry has, sort of shrouded this concept of Futuwwah dress code or Islamic dress code for that matter. Why and how? Because when I wanted to go and, apply for myself for post-graduation, I had so much difficulty because in India, some universities literally have a strict definition of what your dress code has to look like, where you cannot wear a hijab and all of that. So there are such controversies that are preventing youngsters to, there's basically dichotomy again. You either educate yourself or you do not wear your hijab. So these kind of, Islamophobic concepts that are emerging have to be put down and given an end so that we as youth can come forward and participate and do what we want to do Islamically, right? This is something that is happening worldwide. And I faced a lot of difficulty for my post-graduation because I could apply for universities only out of the fear that I am literally draping myself in abaya and I cannot, equally be competent enough with my classmates because the environment here is like that, right? So there are such Islamophobic comments and Islamophobic industry as a whole that is emerging. So we need to tackle that first if we want to inculcate the Futuwwah concepts, I feel.
SubhanAllah, Sister Shifa. May Allah make it easy. May Allah make it easy for all of our beloved brothers and sisters in India. I love India. It's the cradle of civilization is India and Hindustan. It's so sad. And it's not only in India. Obviously, we have it in Europe. We have it here in Sweden where I live. Many of our brothers and sisters are from Belgium, from the UK, from the US, from Canada. It's the same there. It's also in many Muslim countries. Right now, I heard in Tajikistan, which is part of the Greater Khorasan, which was the cradle of Islamic civilization, they have forbidden the hijab for women to wear. Also, before President Erdogan became the president, it was illegal to have the hijab as a public servant in Turkey, in Turkey. And we see this even in Muslim countries, honestly, which is so sad. So may Allah make it easy, sister. Where in India do you live, sister?
It's basically in Karnataka, so near to Bangalore.
Bangalore, mashallah. So Bangalore we have a lot of colleagues in ISIP in Bangalore, alhamdulillah. So may Allah make it easy, sister. I think that we need to, as a unit, as Muslims, unite in this Islamophobic, as Sister Shifa is saying, this Islamophobic industry, or notions that are emerging all over the world. Obviously, I don't live in India. I cannot give any advice with regards to India. You're the expert of the Indian context, but at least here where I live in the West, I try to tell people to just be themselves. We need to just be ourselves. We shouldn't compromise, but obviously I don't judge when some brothers and sisters do compromise, because maybe they have other reasonings, and I don't judge them. It's between them and Allah, obviously. I know that some people tend to feel it's difficult to wear, whether it's Islamic attire when they work as civil servants, for instance, and for me, I'm just always trying to be myself, always. Even when I go here to the university here, where majority are non-Muslims, try to be myself, but to do it with kindness. It's almost like a dawah. They have this, Islamophobic, sentiments, thinking a man with a beard is, oppressive or, is aggressive, whatever. But then when you show that you're gentle, that you're kind and, compassionate, then they actually become quite curious about Islam. So I think we should almost utilize the narratives against us for the benefit of the dawah by breaking the stereotypes, in a sense. I noticed that with some sisters that I know that are niqabis here, it's very difficult to be a niqabi in the West, unfortunately. But alhamdulillah, they're proud and they wear the niqab in a very excellent way. Almost like it becomes a resistance, and then they do dawah as well. Like, you can be niqabi, you can still be well educated, because we have this liberal feminism, which is very aggressive towards Islamic lifestyle. There is these, very Islamophobic notions of, women with niqab being oppressed or men with beard being oppressors. So it's almost like breaking those stereotypes. So obviously it might be difficult in certain cases where there's illegal, like you said, in India. May Allah make it easy, sister. Thank you for sharing this. Sister Asvia, go ahead.
Yes, just to add on with what Sister Shifa said. So I just remembered this incident which happened, I think, 3 years back, when there was this hijab ban in Bangalore, Karnataka. Most of the parts of Karnataka, and I live in Bangalore. So I have this incident which I'm recalling. So my co-sister's daughter, she was in grade 10, that is the board exams for grade 10 here. So she was studying in an Islamic school, that is the management is Islamic, and rest of the things, like everything is like the normal curriculum, but the management is Islamic. So they have this rules in the school that from grade 6 or I think grade 7, they make the girls wear abaya completely with niqab and everything, and even they don't have any male teachers as such. And they have come from this background, like the school has cultivated these things in them, and then they have this board exams, and the same year these girls face that exams, because they have the centers in all over Bangalore. Like they don't write the exam in their own school, but they'll be spread out in other schools as well. So that was the time when it was hijab ban, and these girls were really literally struggling with to decide whether to actually write the exam or to just let it, because they couldn't compromise with the hijab thing. So a few of the girls, what she said to me, my niece, she said that few of them were so adamant that no, we are not going to compromise with the hijab, and they actually did not write the exam. They just let it go, and they were like, no, we are not going to compromise with it. Like, this is what we've been taught, and we're doing it for the sake of Allah, and we are not going to compromise something worldly, putting stake on our akhirah. So the girls did not actually write the exam, and that was so It was a very difficult time for them, and it's like everywhere in India, especially, as sister said, it's so difficult, and people see you really as an alien, when you walk. And because we are surrounded by, mostly we're just the minorities here, and we're surrounded by the non-Muslims, and they have this concept in their mind. I don't know how, like, people, as you said, rightly said, that a Muslim women with hijab and abaya are less educated, or they're oppressed. So I think we have to make some groups, or things like where we can actually approach some of the people and start giving them this dawa kind of thing, that no, it's not oppression, it's a choice, and it's a command of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, that we are wearing entire ayah. It's not a small thing. We're actually wearing an ayah on us. So it's not about oppression. Your clothing will not actually weigh you on the scales of your education or whatever it is. Your intellect is not judged through your clothing, I feel. So I think we have to spread out and do some dawa and tell people, make them, give this knowledge that no, it is not about your clothing and your intellect. No, it's not. It's completely a different thing. I was telling my niece, who was just in her teenage, and she was like, why do we have to cover, and all those questions we have nowadays now. So she was asking me. So I was asking her, where do you keep all your valuable things, your jewelry and everything? She said, we keep it in the locker. So I said,
MashaAllah.
oh, okay. So do you throw away the keys somewhere? She said, no, why will I throw away the keys? I keep it safely. See, this is what Islam does with the women. They are the
Wow.
precious things of Islam. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guarded us. That's how he wants us to keep safe. We are the jewels, and we are the precious things of Islam. So it's a command of Allah to keep us safe. So she's like, oh, so
MashaAllah.
this is really, really difficult in India, brother.
So that's such a beautiful way of portraying it when you spoke with the young girl about, where do you put your jewelry? You put it like in a safe box, and that's the way. That's why you cover yourself. That's amazing. That's amazing. We should utilize that. Actually, that's the way we should speak with children. Wow, that's
Yeah.
Futuwwah. That's Futuwwah for
Since I'm
sure.
a teacher, so I have this habit of
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. That's
giving
great. I
examples.
love that. May Allah
Yeah.
bless you, sister. That's great pedagogy. I love
Ameen.
that. Let's utilize that, inshallah. That's amazing. We will quote you, Sister Asfiya. And may Allah make it easy for all of you, my beloved brothers and sisters in India. I love India, and I see myself very close to India culturally as well, because I come from the Ahlul Sunnah of Iran, and the Persianate culture sphere is from Iran to Tajikistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Hindustan as well. It's really sad. And if you look at the Mughals, when the Mughals came to India, they never forced people to Islam. It was a very, like, in a sense, intercultural society, and there was a lot of social cohesion and culturally understanding, between different religions. And then now you see this very fascistic Hindu nationalism, which is a creation of Western colonization. I mean, we already know who gave these type of sentiments power. We know what the British did. And I don't want to go into politics here. There's a political thing we could discuss, but what I could say is that we are still living in the aftermath of colonization for sure. And part of the strategy of the colonizers was to divide to conquer, and they did it by creating this type of frictions between people. Ultimately,
Yes.
Indians are Indians. You're Muslim, or whether you're whatever, Sikh, or whether you're Hindu, or which religion, Buddhist, whatever, Christian, whatever religion, you're an Indian first and foremost as well. But they want to divide it and create this otherification. Actually, there is a great scholar in India. He's not a Muslim, but I like his work. He's a decolonial scholar. His name is Homi Bhabha. He speaks about anti-colonial resistance as a third culture identity. He calls it a hybrid identity. And I'm speaking about that from the aspect that Islamic culture is a hybrid culture. Of course, the unity comes from Qur'an and Sunnah. That is, as Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that's how we're united. Whether you're Hanafi, Shafi, Malik, or Hanbali, we're united with the Qur'an and Sunnah. But then the diversity is the hybridism, where you integrate local customs in your clothing, for instance, that is in congruence with Quran and Sunnah, for instance. And that's what I love. Well, if we're going to have a Futuwwah dress code, it doesn't need to be the same. We're gonna have some same attributes, so we see the connection internationally and globally, obviously. But then maybe, you know, the colors are different in India compared to Nigeria, or Kenya compared to Bosnia, or Saudi Arabia compared to, let's say, Afghanistan, right? So I really like that. And I think here Sister Anum is sharing a lot of great gems in the chat. She's saying for the young girls, a style of dress that can accommodate all cultures and schools of thought. Yes, that's where the hybridity comes and the multiplexity. For example, some of us wield their face, some don't. Yes, I mean, you know, the different madhab have different opinions here, and obviously you follow yours, and definitely a comfortable style for both, where the young girls can easily add on anything they like without any trouble. So something uniform yet personal. I love that. And that's exactly unity, Qur'an, Sunnah, and then multiplexity. Obviously, everybody has their struggle. I don't judge brothers who might struggle with certain things when it comes to attire. We don't judge sisters who might struggle with certain things in attire. Everybody has their jihad, right? It doesn't mean that you're less of a Muslim if you don't have a beard, for instance, or you're less of a Muslim if you do not have a, you know, hijab or whatever. This is your, you know, struggle with Allah, obviously, and it's your choice. Nevertheless, we know what is, you know, mandatory in Islam, and we try our best to follow that, you know, according to Quran, Sunnah, and Sharia. But to have that unity and uniformity, and then still cultural diversity. I love that, Sister Anam. Thank you so much for sharing, Sister. Sister Anam further says, clothes can quickly become a strong point of conflict within the Ummah, but it does not have to be so if we are willing to think broadly and focus on bigger goals. Yes. You see, when we speak about Futuwwah dress code, it's not about creating any conflict per se. We believe in multiplicity and multiplexity and unity in Quran and Sunnah. We would not advocate in one uniform way. Ultimately, it is about how can we create social cohesion by having some things that are common. So for instance, you guys see I have a ring here, right? In the traditional Futuwwah guilds, the Fatah used to have a ring that symbolized that their affiliation with the Futuwwah guild. For instance, it could be a ring, you know, it could be a hat, you know, it could be whatever, a logotype, a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, whatever. And obviously to bring in that culture diversity as well is very good. And in the end, dressing is just one notion of modesty. You can dress very modest, but then your attitude is not modest, then you're not modest in the end of the day. So it's a holistic approach to it. Nevertheless, clothing is an important thing to discuss, and it's a very crucial part of Futuwwah. Sister Kiran, thank you, Sister Anum, for your excellent remarks. Sister Kiran is saying, I think it's important for youngsters to understand and accept that to their dress code is their identity. So to revisit their intention and understand the responsibility and reality of what they are stepping up to. Yes, Sister Kiran, excellent remarks. I appreciate your remarks, and I also appreciate Sister Anum's excellent remarks. I think with youth, like I remember when I was younger, I used to be a hip hop artist. I used to do rapping and stuff, and I used to have very much baggy jeans, and actually it's quite Islamic. I can still use them today, and it covers you. It's like very loose fitting clothes, and it was an identity thing. So youths wants to have an identity. We can even see in the street gangs, if you do like a sociological, you know, field analysis, you can see that in the street gangs they have certain, you know, dress codes, right, to create this, you know, group mentality or cohesion, right? So I think we can utilize that because, you know, it's part of our nature as human beings that we want cohesion. So to utilize that to create a Futuwwah dress code will be great. Obviously, in a way that is suitable for everybody, so that, as Sister Anum said, it could be a uniformity, but yet the individual, you know, is also seen and heard and expressed in that. Yes, that's some of your reflections. Khair, I want you guys to continue the discussion in the WhatsApp group for the Futuwwah Academy Study Circle, dear brothers and sisters. And we will open it up very briefly. And I really want you guys to continue the discussion. I want to have active discussion because we're learning so much by, you know, listening to one another. And let's see what we can do with the Futuwwah dress code, or, you know, with the, you know, as Sister Sophia referred to, you know, the, you know, doing like creating different medium of sharing narratives to counter the contemporary culture. Okay, so let's read the last part of the text. Do we have anybody who would like to end the reading for today? Go ahead, Sister Aspia.
Um, I just lost it, brother. From where is it?
When the fatah, here, the last sentence.
Okay. When the fatah is around males who openly disclose their attraction towards the same gender or act openly effeminate, he should dress and behave with the same caution before them as he would before young ladies. When possible, he should avoid being in their presence altogether to avoid fitna, staying away as precaution against arousing forbidden desires, as part of modesty, not to incite what is forbidden or invite others to engage in it.
Jazakallah khairan, Sister Asfiya, for finalizing our reading for today in such an excellent way. May Allah preserve all of you, my dear brothers and sisters. I always enjoy all of our conversations and talks, and I learn so much from all of you. So this part is also very important, avoiding fitna, staying away if needed. And I was thinking about this part, this last part that Imam Dawud, may Allah bless him, has written, because we live in a very hypersexual society and era. So how can we guide males and females who are openly disclosing and acting under sexual desires and needs that are against the law of Allah or the will of Allah? How can we guide them? We shouldn't act accordingly. We shouldn't justify their actions. Obviously, how can we guide them? Because we live in a very hypersexual society, and actually you can see it in the children's program, like already. If you watch some of these Disney movies and stuff, already like for like children's programs for the age 4, 5, 6, they're introducing hypersexual, scenes or identities, etc. Let's see here. Brother Thomas is writing on the chat, some images of Futuwwah girls they're scrolled from past and present in the WhatsApp group would be nice. Yes, Brother Thomas. Write in the WhatsApp group, please, Brother Thomas, so we can continue that discussion. That will be excellent. So think about this question, brothers and sisters. I think there is a lot for us to reflect upon, because hypersexual society is what we're living in, unfortunately, whether it's in India or in Sweden or in the US or in South Africa, in Nigeria, all over the world, in Gambia. Our societies are very hyper, even Muslim societies. Alhamdulillah, the Muslim society is less, to be quite honest, but through popular culture, through music, media, we see these narratives being shared, and it's affecting people's, specifically the youths, creating distorted, sexual desires and identities, and we need to counteract by creating some framework of guidance for the youths, and it will be good to reflect upon. So, brothers and sisters, we're going to end our reading session now, inshallah. We will continue the discussion in the Zoom and the WhatsApp group chat. For next week, we're going to read about restraining from sexual desire. This is a very important chapter, dear brothers and sisters. So I'm looking forward to meet you all next Sunday, the same time as usual. And you read from page 93 to page 99, dear sisters and brothers, inshallah. This is what we will do for next time, inshallah. Yes, Sister Asfiya, you want to say something before we end?
Shifa.
Sorry, Sister Shifa, go ahead.
I just wanted to follow up on the discussion that we had the last weekend about the volunteering opportunities. And
yes,
yeah, I wanted to know where.
Yes. So, Sister Shifa, I'm so sorry. I was supposed to do a poll. We will do it as soon as possible. I had some health issues this week. I'm still recovering, so please keep me in your du'as, brothers and sisters. Your du'as will be very needed. So I will speak with Sister Fatima here and Brother Shoaib, and also Sister Dani and Sister Mediha and the rest of our brothers and sisters in the team, and we will do a poll. And I think there's different task forces within the Futuwwah Academy of Sacred Manhood and Sacred Womanhood that we will implement. So you can join whichever you think is of your interest and where we can benefit from your knowledge and your experience and expertise. Dear Sister Shifa, it will be an honor to have you with us. And we're also establishing local Futuwwah academies all over the world. So in India, we should definitely establish one. Now, obviously, India is a huge country, but I mean, some of you are from Bangalore, right? If I'm not mistaken, you, Sister Shifa, Sister Asfi, and others. And then we will do Futuwwah academies for brothers, for sisters, and then we can sometimes, according to Qur'an and Sunnah, do joint activities as well, like online activities like this one. So we need to do curriculum development, establishing local Futuwwah academies. We want to do something with dress codes, with narratives, storytelling, social media, etc. So we will write all of these different task forces, and it will be an honor if you would like to join us, dear sisters and brothers, inshallah. Thank you, Sister Asfiya. Ameen to your du'as, inshallah. Inshallah, your du'as will be very beneficial. And without any further ado, dear brothers and sisters, I want to thank you all for joining us today. It's always a joy and pleasure to listen to all of you and to learn from all of you. Sharing is caring, sharing is khairing, as we say. And also each one teach one as a way to reach the one, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we learn from each other, which is something that is essential. And the concept of halaqah, the circle, is essential as a way to learn from one another. And the circle is always circulating. So knowledge goes back and forward, and it becomes refined and refined. And hopefully this will allow us to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through our knowledge inquiry. So I want to thank you all, Sister Anu, Sister Arinola, Sister Asfiya, Dr. Shafiq, Sister Iman, Sister Kafila, Sister Kiram, Brother Mansoor, Sister Noor, Sister Roxana, Sister Ruqayya, Sister Samia, Sister Shakila, Sister Shifan, Brother Thomas, for your participation today. And we'll see each other next week, Sunday, the same time at 8:30 a.m. GMT, inshallah. So read the next chapter and continue the discussion. I will open up the chat within 1 to 1.5 hours, inshallah. Without any further ado, I wish you all a great continuation of the day. An honor to be with you all. And please forgive me for any shortcomings, and all the good comes from Allah, and all the mistakes are solid in mine. Thank you, Sister Fatima and Brother Shu'aib, Sister Dani, Sister Medea, and rest of the Futuwwah Academy team for organizing this venue in such an excellent way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.